So we've already driven Brooks C36 AMG, we've driven his supercharged CLK55 AMG, and we've even driven his manual swapped C63 AMG. But before I go ahead and drive the new E53 AMG wagon in a few weeks, I wanted to bring you guys one more analog era AMG that I don't think should need any more modifications. That's what we're here for today. Before all-wheel drive, before the hybrid systems, before turbos, there was this, the 6.2 liter E63 AMG. Let's go for a drive. All right, and if you know who owns this car, AMG Meister, Richard, if you follow his YouTube channel, you know this is going to be such a clean example, and that's exactly what I'm looking at. This one we're driving today has just under 100,000 kilometers on it. Still pretty low, not as low as his CLS 63 AMG, which he's selling and which we'll talk about in a second when we talk to Richard. But here it is, E63 AMG W212 pre-facelift. And the facelift for this car, as we'll talk about in a second, was huge. This went from a rear-wheel drive, kind of muscle car feeling 6.2 liter NA V8 to a twin turbo 5.5 liter V8 with just, you know, I haven't driven one, but presumably a lot less character, a lot less noise, and just a lot less, to put it simply, oversteer, a lot less kind of just fun at low speeds. How different does this feel, first off, to the 6.2 C63 AMG, but also the manual swapped C63 AMG I drove about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, time's flying. Because in factory form, I don't think this should need any modifications, but let's find out. As always, we have a ton of different suspension. Actually, that's a lie. We don't have all that many options here. It has factory adaptive dampers here. We've got 2 settings, I guess, just soft and stiffer. Or no, we have comfort, and then we have, I guess, stiff and more stiff. So compared to the 6.2 liter M156 V8 in the C63, this was just a kind of revised version, at least from the base C63, the earlier cars. So instead of roughly 450 horsepower, we have 518 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Now, that torque compared to the M113K is pushed a little bit higher in the power band. It's about 5,000 or so RPM, and then peak power is way up there near where this revs to, which is just past 7,000 RPM, about 7,200 RPM. Double downshift. Sport Plus, immediately downshifts. This one had a much better 7-speed wet clutch. Oh, that downshift was so good. Wet clutch transmission versus the older, well, what you would find in a W211 E55 AMG 5-speed auto. So many improvements in so many ways, but still hydraulic power steering. NA engine, oh my. Oh, I just felt that downshift through the steering wheel. That was not the case in the new E53, not even close. Oh, it is eager. This is when we go from like 19 miles per gallon to 8. Okay, we are going to try launch control. I think this is at an age where it should have a sophisticated enough traction control system to really get out of a dig, even just being rear-wheel drive. But let's see if I can follow Richard's instructions, how to launch this thing. I've got to switch it to RS, paddle up to confirm, race start, depress gas pedal. There we go. Drama free. completely drama-free. That was actually a lot more conservative than I would have expected. It was like giving me nothing. And then it just kind of very smoothly brought me up to redline in such a Mercedes way. That launch control was more Mercedes than it was AMG. Good though. 0 to 60 in about 4.2, 4.3 seconds. These do the quarter mile in low 12s, like 12.2 seconds at whatever mile an hour, probably under 120 if I had to guess. Without all-wheel drive, without a hybrid system, without e-motors filling in torque, that's incredible. The car is incredibly quick. Immediately, it just feels a little bit tighter than that W211 E55. These have traditional coil springs up front, and then in the rear they do have air suspension, but they're really only there for load leveling. So if you have passengers or cargo, it's just going to keep the car level and keep everything kind of in check. I mean, suspension is phenomenal here. So much better than that four-corner air suspension in the W211. That car was just, it was a little bit floaty when you began pushing it, and it didn't encourage you to go further and further with your inputs. What it did encourage you to do is roast the tires at 3,000 RPM in a straight line. Both the supercharged M113 and this NA M156 have torque anytime you call for it. Difference is there's less of it here low down, making the top end even sweeter. It certainly helps that this 7-speed actually seems to know exactly where you need to be for the full effect. Long live the peaky, high RPM engines. You know what's funny? I have not really had the temptation, the burning desire to put it in manual mode as quickly as I thought. Sport Plus is tuned amazing. If you don't look at the infotainment, which looks like it's 15 years older than this car is, which is already 15 years old, then it kind of drives like a new car. If you had a brand new E-Class without a hybrid system, without all-wheel drive, I'd imagine it would feel something like this. Pretty good with the paddles too. There is a little delay, but more importantly, they're snappy and they don't upset the car, the shifts. It's just, you get a little bit of engine brake, but there's no kind of like rocking back and forth. So smooth.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Richard, and you may know me from my channel, AMG Meister, and this is my 2011 E63 AMG.
Is this the only E-Class you've owned?
No, I've had quite a few before. I've had 2 E55s before this, but I mean, this was the car I kind of really always wanted. For a car that you enjoy, like on a nice road, on a nice drive, M156 easily, for me at least, is the winner. But definitely if it's a car you're driving every day, I actually would still lean E55, M113K, just because the drivability, the torque, it's amazing in traffic and stuff like that. So it is kind of that balance. But for me, it's a car I don't drive every day. So yeah, M156 for me.
So out of all the AMGs you've owned, which has been your favorite?
Definitely this one.
Wow, I mean, okay,
yeah,
all right.
I've had a few. I've had the CLK Cabriolet, the 63. I had the CLS 63 as well. All great cars, but I think it is like a surprising huge difference between the generation, right? So 212, obviously 2010 to 2016 with this chassis, it just is way sharper, way sportier than 211, the older E-Class, where there was the 55 and 63 of that. And just for me, having a car like this, it is about getting out, driving on a nice road and enjoying it, right? And I just feel like the older cars, they're still good, but I feel like they make you want more, you know what I mean? So,
sure, yeah.
So I feel like this is a good compromise for sure.
You recently did a track day with this.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that your first time tracking one of your cars?
First time, completely first time. I just thought like, man, some of these back roads are getting busy these days, and I thought like, this would be pretty fun. And so I put new tires and prepped the brakes, fluid and stuff like that, and it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely like booked the next one already. And
awesome.
honestly didn't perform that bad. Didn't perform that bad at all.
Did you get a lot of unexpected oversteer, or how was it balanced?
I mean, I had new tires. Was with the instructor, right? Learning the course, you know, mission with those concrete barriers. It's probably not a good idea to be sliding it on your first visit. So
True.
maybe some other time, but you gotta be careful with it, I guess. So no, I wasn't doing any of that. Just trying to keep it clean. But honestly, it was a lot of fun. And for that run, tires, brakes were fine.
Richard told me not to drive this in comfort, not to even try it in comfort. I think it would be doing the car a disservice not to give it the full AMG test. And that does mean it still has to perform at the other end of the spectrum. That doesn't involve smoky burnouts and banging off the rev limiter and letting everybody know that you're still rocking an NA engine in 2026. I mean, that's some body roll, but it's still, the steering still feels incredibly direct. It's actually really sharp. These did have a quicker steering rack than the standard C-Class. I mean, all the standard stuff that you would expect. Big 6-piston, brakes up front, 4-piston in the rear. The wheelbase compared to the W204 C63 is about 4.5 inches longer. It's only about 200 pounds, 250 pounds heavier than those cars though. Is it like crazy fast? Is it scary fast? No. Does it have enough to chew on here though? Or I don't think I would have an inclination or an impulse to sell this thing after a year, 2 years of ownership. Absolutely. The seats are perfect. The steering is so good. You know, it's light. There is still a lot of weight up there, despite the fact the engine is fairly far back in the chassis, close to the firewall. But I mean, pretty much as good as a 15-year-old dual personality car gets. The grip this car has and the stable feeling I'm getting from the rear end, like a C63 with a 6.2, it just wants to step out. Any corner, any gear. And I kind of thought that was a weight thing. You know, okay, the car's lighter and stuff, but I really do think the wheelbase comes into play here. Also tires. A C63, as laughable as it sounds, only has 255s from the factory in the rear end. That's not nearly enough grip. So this car is just a little bit more balanced, just so much more grip than a C63. It's noticeably more refined than an automatic E60 M5. And even though the manual in the E60 M5, it was sold here in Canada, of course, that's very tempting, a V10 with a manual. It doesn't suit that car as well as a manual suits, let's say, an E92 M3, just because it's a smaller chassis. I think the story is the same here. I kind of was expecting that. Now, would this be really fun with a manual? Yes, absolutely. But is it begging for it as much as the C63 was? No. It's no dual clutch. It's not perfect, but it certainly is not begging for a manual swap. It's more of like, would you manual swap an S-Class? Definitely not, right? So would you manual swap a C63? Absolutely, in my opinion, right? So this is kind of that weird middle ground. Climate controls, all physical buttons down here, super easy to use. Yeah, it's got a refined quality about it. The interior, obviously, this car's not crazy old, so everything's held up really well. Of course, heated seats, cooled seats. It's got this this kind of panoramic sunroof, a little bit bigger than your traditional sunroof would have. This car went through a lot of updates, like I said. The facelift, not only visually did it change, the split headlights, love it. It's got those kind of arches, the lines on the rear quarter panel, absolutely perfect. Sure, to the normies out there, you're cosplaying a retired accountant, but that's the best part. It's subtle and it's heavily depreciated. $25,000 USD will get you a good one. After this, the E-Class was diluted with turbos, all-wheel drive, and growing pains. But this one sits in the perfect sweet spot. For example, the brake-by-wire system from the older cars is gone, leaving a confidence and bite in the pedal that the older cars just don't have. it's simple for an AMG, but does that mean it's going to be reliable?
Yeah, I would say the funny thing about this car is like the engine itself has been like just flawless. Other things, you know, they have required to repair the rear airbags, had to replace those.
Okay.
The rear shock absorbers, had to replace those. And then a lot of stuff like, you know, typical wear and tear engine mounts and all this stuff. So engine itself though, absolutely great. I mean, I'm doing like under 5,000 kilometer oil changes, and I was very lucky that like the previous owners were actually also doing that. So the engine itself has lived like a decent life. And I like this guy in Germany, Motor and Zimmer, big YouTuber. He says, if you can drive the car, obviously in Germany, for 20 minutes at 200 kilometers an hour, it's really good for the engine. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense. You know, because like if you let this sit around, it's got the, you know, buildup of oil in the intake from the PCV system and whatever, right? It's acting sluggish. It's all adapted to slow driving. So it's actually really good, like Italian tune-up or whatever they say.
Yes.
It really applies to this car. It really responds well to like being kind of thrashed once in a while.
Do you have any plans to sell it ever?
This?
Yeah.
I think I'll keep it because it's like, I mean, at the price range, right? I mean, the car, let's say, you know, kind of fair idea, the car is probably worth about 35,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
Roughly around the area. I feel like for that money, you just can't get much else that would be way more fun, in my opinion, at least. It's just that problem of like, what else would you get?
You know, totally. A lot of people, I feel like, don't ask themselves that question before they sell a car.
Yeah.
They
100%.
just quote unquote get bored and then.
100%, yeah.
But hey, if you're still enjoying the car, that's awesome. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Richard, for the seat time. Seriously appreciate it. And on that note, actually, we have launched a new podcast called Seat Time. I did it with my friend Elvis, and it is live. We've recorded 4 or 5 episodes. By the time you watch this, the link will be in the description. If you want to go on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, if you listen to podcasts at all, and leave us a review, go take a listen. That helps us out a lot. We'll see you next time.